Hey, what's up everybody? Mark Price here at devslopes.com, and this video is about getting our development environment in a better state. So we've had a little bit of practice working with the default mono-develop with Unity 3D, and you notice it's pretty clunky, right? The scripts, they don't have braces that complete automatically. The autocomplete works half the time. It likes misspelling things. It adds weird spaces, and really is just a big pile of junk. So, for those of you who are on Windows, to start off with, you can change your IDE to Visual Studio Express or Visual Studio Professional by going to Unity, Preferences, External Tools, and then clicking Browse and locating Visual Studio. All right, you can also use Visual Studio Code. Okay, for us over here on Mac today, we're going to be using Visual Studio Code. But before we do that, one more thing for those of you who are on Windows. There's some guides on Unity. Let me pull it up here that give you more information on integrating Visual Studio. This is on unity3d.com/learn/tutorials/topics/scripting. And if you scroll down here, okay, there are some topics here. Getting started with Unity development using Visual Studio. And it talks about how to install the tools. And it's very well done to the T of how to do all these things. And so if you run into any problems getting Visual Studio installed and you don't want to use mono-develop, then go ahead and follow these tutorials and steps here and do it the official Unity way, and they'll help you out. Really great stuff here, okay? And it does a lot more, such as debugging and how to test your games, etc., etc., etc. All right, we're going to be using for the duration of this course, here and there. We may use mono-develop here and there, but we're going to be using Visual Studio Code. And Visual Studio Code, let's pull it up over here. Visual Studio Code is Microsoft's new cross-platform IDE, completely free. Okay, it works on Linux, it works on Windows, it works on Mac, and it does a lot of things from C# to Python, and there's a whole bunch of other languages that it supports, HTML, etc. And this is cool. This is a popular alternative to a lot of other IDEs out there, like Atom or Brackets that are used for web development, whereas Visual Studio Code is more robust, and it's a lot cooler, and it's gray and black, which is really, really nice. And so this is what we're going to use, and you can use this again on Windows or Mac. And so we're going to follow a guide here to get this up and going. So if you go to code.visualstudio.com/docs/runtimes/unity, Unity development with Visual Studio Code. Okay, it can be a great companion for Unity for editing and debugging C# files, blah, 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 blah. Much, much better than what we're currently using. Okay, and so the first thing that we want to do is download the plugin for this. So what I'm going to do is copy this right here. Okay, you need to have Git installed on your machine. All right, if you have a Mac, Git is automatically installed. Okay, if you don't have a Mac, okay, type in install Git on Windows. All right, and it'll give you an explanation here on this top link here on how to install Git on Windows. Okay, although this pulled up Mac because it automatically detected I was on a Mac. This same tutorial would pull up Windows for you automatically. Oh, here it is, same page, that's why. Okay, and so it'll explain how to do it. You got to have Git installed. Also, I highly recommend that you use Windows PowerShell, okay? And if you don't know what that is, okay, go ahead onto Google here and type in how to use Windows PowerShell. And you'll get some steps right here on how to load the PowerShell, so we can do this via the command line. So what I'm going to do is open up my Finder here, Command Space, and type in terminal. I'm just going to navigate into a directory. You can do any directory you want. I'm going to go into my courses directory. Okay, make this a little bigger here. And I'm going to paste in what I copied, git clone. And it's going to tap into the Git repository and download this. Awesome. It is there. If I type in ls, and a lot of these commands are the same on Windows, you can see the Visual Studio Code folder there. Number 2, add the plugin to your project. Go to the folder where you downloaded the plugin source code and copy the plugins editor.bunny folder to your Unity project. Okay, so here it is in the Finder. Okay, same here as the terminal. Go into Visual Studio Code, and here's the plugins folder. And it says to copy this folder If you don't have a plugins folder already in your assets, you can just copy the whole folder. If you do have a plugins folder, then you're gonna want to go one level in and get the editor folder instead. And I'll show you what I mean. So we're gonna Command C to copy the plugins folder here, or Control C on Windows. And then here's my project. And this particular project, and you need to do this at a project level here. This particular project is going to be Legend of Devslopes. It's a cool new game coming out, Legend of Devslopes. I'm going to go in here into the assets and see if there's a plugins folder. Just organize it here to make sure there's not. There's not. So I'm going to go ahead and paste in the plugins folder. It is now in my project. Okay, I've done what it's asked me to do. To turn on the use of the provided integration, you will need to go to Unity Preferences and select the newly created Visual Studio tab. Okay, so let's see if it worked. It's importing those assets, so hopefully it's going to work out for us. We're going to go to Unity Preferences, and there's now a Visual Studio Code tab right here. Great. So it says select the newly created tab, toggle on Enable Integration, and you're ready to get going. Okay, so let's see where that is on here. Enable integration. Use Unity Debugger. In order to use Unity Debugger option to function above, you need to have installed the Unity Debugger extension for Visual Studio Code. We're going to need to do that in a minute here. And enable auto open. Always write launch file. Let me see what this does. Always write launch.json settings when entering play mode. Sure. I'm not quite sure what it does, to be honest. I haven't turned that one on before. Output messages to console. Should informational messages be sent to Unity's console? Just for now, we'll keep it on. And let's keep automatic updates on as well, too. Update every 7 days. This is great. Cool. Oh, and look, I can install the Unity debugger right here. Okay, I don't know if it worked, but what we can do now that Visual Studio Code is open is, and by the way, I guess I should have mentioned it, you need to have Visual Studio Code installed first. If you don't have it installed, okay, again, Visual Studio Code, right here, you can just download it. All right, we didn't go through the download steps, but I'm assuming that you can click a button and let it install. So make sure you download this first, otherwise you won't be able to install anything. I want to make sure the plugin installed. So in Visual Studio Code, I want to go find the extensions. So I'm in Help. I'm just typing in extensions and Unity Debugger. Let's just do a search. All right, perfect. Unity Debugger for Unity right here. Let's just install it and enable it. Click OK. Great. So I'm just going to quit out of Visual Studio Code. And let's go back over here and just make sure we've covered everything. Toggle on Enable Integration and you're ready to get going. You can toggle on here. Oh, here's where it explains. Output messages to console, which will echo output to the Unity console, whether the debug port was found. This is useful for debugging any issues with the integration. Okay, I don't think we're going to need that, so we could probably turn that off. Right workspace settings button will configure the workspace settings to filter out non-code assets. That's a good thing. Okay, so open the project. So now available in the assets menu is open C# project in code. This will open the project in Visual Studio Code in the context of the root folder of your project. Let's see if that works. So this looks good here. Install Unity Debugger, that's already been done. Let's turn off this output messages here. And let's go to Assets, Open Project in Code. Ooh, this is really cool. So it opened up our root folder here. And so this, of course, is we're going to be looking for our scripts. So this is Assets. We don't have scripts yet. Let's create one. This is just a random project, by the way. You don't need to have this project. Don't freak out. Okay. We're going to call this test script. And let's see if I double click this, if it actually opens up Visual Studio Code. And it does. Wow, this is so pretty. Now we've got some really cool stuff here. Void. This is great. Oh, look at that autocomplete on the brackets. Let's just have a little bit of fun here for a second. We'll just say, you know, vector 3 new position equals new vector 3. And this is really cool. Okay, this is much, much better than what we were using before. So this is great. And let's just finish off this document here. Make sure we've done everything that we're supposed to be doing. Okay, with the solution file selected, you're now ready to start editing Visual Studio Code. Here's a list of some of the things you can expect: syntax highlighting, bracket matching, IntelliSense, snippets, code lens, peek, go to definition, code actions, light bulbs, go to symbol, hover. 2 topics that will help you are editing involved in C#. In the image below, you can see the Visual Studio Code showing hover, context, peek references, and more. Okay, this is really awesome. And if you are interested in looking at Visual Studio Code, it looks like they've got some more cool plugins on the marketplace to make your development experience much better. And you're going to want to cater this to you. So this video is completely optional. If you want to use MonoDevelop, that's fine. It is a huge pain though. You can do some editing to that as well too to make it better, but this is good to go. Let's go ahead and make some games. Mark Price at devslopes.com. See you soon. Hey everyone, one more thing real quick. There was a slight problem with the IntelliSense, and some other people have had issues as well too with it not working. Meaning when you type in RB, add force and all these other things aren't popping up as they should be. And so if that's happening to you, okay, if down here at the bottom, see that little flame, if it's saying starting, but it actually hasn't started yet, it's just sitting there floating around. This problem, again, is probably only for Mac users. Windows, you shouldn't have this issue here. All you need to do to get this problem working is open up your terminal, okay, and type in brew reinstall mono. It's going to download a newest and latest version of mono, and it's going to reinstall it. Sometimes there's compatibility issues between getting your Visual Studio Code up and running in mono, and this will solve your problem. And if you don't have brew installed as a Mac user, that's pretty simple as well. So just type in install homebrew, okay, and it's brew.sh, and it will tell you exactly how to install Homebrew. So you install it, and what Homebrew is a dependency or package manager for the Mac that lets you install things via the command line. Super useful. If you're ever going to be a long-term programmer, this is definitely something you want to install anyway. So install Homebrew, and after it's installed, kill your terminal, reload it, and then type in brew reinstall mono, and your problem will go away. And if it doesn't, just do some more searching on the errors you're getting, or with the OmniSharp is what it's called here, not starting your project, or reach out to the community, and I'm sure we'll find a solution. But that's how you can get it going. And of course, Visual Studio is super powerful now, you know, way better than MonoDevelop. You can just type in stuff and it knows what you put in there. So it does it all for you automatically. So that's it for now. Mark Price at devslopes.com. See you soon.